What if I told you the watch industry has spent years quietly separating you from your money, and the brands spending the most on marketing are often the same ones whose watches lose half their value the second you strap them on? Most people never find this out. But the collectors who actually build lasting collections, the ones who buy smart, wear what they love, and still come out ahead, they've been quietly avoiding 6 specific brands the rest of the market keeps throwing money at. And they've been funneling that money into 3 names the marketing machine almost never hypes. Here's what most people miss. This isn't about cheap versus expensive. Some of the brands on this avoid list retail for over $14,000, and one of the brands you can actually trust starts under $300. The difference was never the price. The difference is what happens to your money after you buy. Later in this list, we'll get to a brand that was founded in 1837 as a respected Swiss house and has spent the last few decades burning through nearly 2 centuries of heritage with fake discounts and inflated price tags. And when we reach number 1, the brand sitting at the very top of the avoid list, you'll see how a company can charge luxury money for a movement worth a couple of dollars and convince millions of people it's worth it, all off the back of an Instagram ad. Hit that subscribe button, because every week we cut through the marketing and show you what the people who actually know are buying, wearing, and collecting. Here are 6 watch brands you should stop buying in 2026, ranked from merely overpriced to absolutely indefensible. Number 6. Breitling. And here's the frustrating part. Chief Executive Officer George Kern redesigned the Navitimer, slimmed the case, dropped in the in-house B01 caliber, and modernized the whole brand. The current Navitimer is probably the best the line has ever been. Critics loved it, collectors respected it, and then the secondary market spoke. Current B01 Navitimers trade at roughly half their retail price, despite being better watches than the ones they replaced. Breitling's value retention sits somewhere between 40 and 55% across most models. The watch isn't the problem. The problem is that Breitling makes enough of them that there's never any scarcity, and years of overproduction flooded the used market and kept prices down. So you're buying a genuinely excellent Swiss chronograph that loses more than 1/3 of its value in the first year. That's not depreciation. That's a donation. If you love Breitling, and there are real reasons to, buy it pre-owned. You'll get the same movement, the same finishing, the same heritage, and you'll pay what the market actually thinks it's worth instead of what the boutique hopes you'll hand over. Number 5. TAG Heuer. TAG has spent the last decade pushing the Carrera upmarket with in-house Heuer O2 movements and cleaner cases. And credit where it's due, the current Carrera is the best version yet. But best it's ever been and holds its value. Are 2 completely different conversations. The reason is simple. TAG sits in the most crowded corner in all of watchmaking. Between $3,000 and $7,000, you're up against Tudor, Omega, Longines, and a dozen others fighting for the same wrist. And at that price, those brands hold their value 2 to 3 times better. The name still carries weight from the Steve McQueen and Monaco era, but nostalgia is not a return on your money. If the Carrera speaks to you, buy one where that first-year hit has already been absorbed by somebody else. Number 4. Panerai. This one has one of the most loyal followings in the watch world. The forums are still busy, and the brand's heritage with Italian naval commandos is genuinely cool. None of that shows up at resale. The Luminor Marina, Panerai's core model, loses about half its retail price on the secondary market, and many references drop 30 to 45% inside the first year, especially the ones built on ETA movements rather than in-house calibers. But the depreciation isn't even the biggest issue. The 44mm case that defined Panerai in the 2000s now works against it, because the whole market has shifted towards smaller watches. Design fatigue and oversupply have dulled what used to be unstoppable momentum. So if the Panerai look calls to you, the pre-owned market is your friend. You'll find luminors and submersibles at 40 to 50 cents on the dollar, and the watch itself is still well built. If you're buying new at retail expecting to keep your money, the numbers say otherwise. If you're starting to see the pattern here that some of the biggest names in watchmaking are quietly terrible places to park your money, hit that like button. It helps this reach people serious about building a collection that actually makes sense. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you belong here. Number 3. Hublot. Hublot is a genuine youngster in this world, founded in 1980 by Carlo Crocco, which leaves it far less history to stand on than houses that have been proving themselves for a century or more. And that shows up exactly where it hurts, in what happens after you buy. Entry-level Hublots lose 40 to 50% of their value in the first year. A classic fusion chronograph in titanium can retail well into 5 figures and resell for roughly half that. But here's what really gets collectors talking. Underneath that bold rubber and titanium look, the brand leans on a modified Celita movement rather than a true in-house caliber. And at that price, when competitors are handing you a proprietary movement, an off-the-shelf one leaves a lot to be desired. The skeletonized Big Bang models hold a little better, but that's still a brutal hit on a luxury purchase. If you love the Hublot look, and there's no shame in it, buy on the secondary market where that first-year drop has already happened. You'll get the exact same watch for half the money. Number 2. Invicta. And this one stings because the history is real. Founded in La Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland in 1837 by Raphael Picard, Invicta spent over a century as a respected Swiss maker. Then, the quartz crisis nearly wiped it out, and when an American group acquired the dormant brand in 1991, they didn't try to revive the original Swiss operation. They built an entirely new business, making watches mostly in Asia and selling them through aggressive internet marketing with wildly inflated suggested retail prices. Invicta is famous for listing a watch at $500 to $900 and then permanently selling it for $70 to $150. That original price is essentially fictitious, a manufactured discount designed to make you feel like you're winning. Quality control is the other problem, with reviewers regularly pointing to loose crowns, uneven finishing, and thin plating that feels cheap in the hand. Now, at a street price under $100, the Pro Diver gives you a Miyota automatic and 200 meters of water resistance that's genuinely hard to beat. And if you know exactly what you're paying for, it's fine. But a discount on something that was never worth the original price was never really a discount. Number 1. Fashion watch brands. Here it is, the single biggest rip-off in the watch world, and it's sitting on millions of wrists right now. Daniel Wellington. MVMT. Vincero. A $200 watch from a viral fashion brand often runs on the same cheap quartz movement you'd find in a watch, costing a tiny fraction of the price. That's what you're paying for when the algorithm serves you a 30-second ad with moody lighting and a minimalist dial. You're paying for a design, a name, and a marketing campaign. There's no history, no heritage, no real craftsmanship. Buyers routinely report the glass scratching within a few wears, and plenty report MVMT watches stopping after only a few months. The Daniel Wellington founder even built the brand around a story about a gentleman he supposedly met while backpacking, a story as polished as the marketing itself. So take that $200 and put it toward a Seiko 5 instead. You'll get a real in-house automatic movement, a brand with decades of horological credibility, and a watch that'll still be running long after the fashion label has pivoted to selling sunglasses. Now let's flip the script. Here are 3 brands you can actually trust. Start with Seiko and Grand Seiko. For sheer range and value, almost nothing touches Seiko. The automatic lineup, especially the Seiko 5 Sports range, gives you in-house movements with a reputation for running forever. Grand Seiko takes it further. They grow their own quartz crystals, their hand finishing goes toe-to-toe with Swiss watches costing far more, and the spring drive movement is a piece of technology with no real Swiss equivalent. Just know what Grand Seiko is and what it isn't. It's the finest watch for your money play on this list, not a flip-it-for-profit play. Most models trade a little below retail, though a handful of the core spring drive pieces have actually climbed more than 20% over the past 2 years as the rest of the world catches on. Next, Tudor. Rolex's sister brand shares its production, its materials, and even its distribution, and it now runs its own in-house movements, several of them independently certified. The popular steel Black Bay models, the Black Dial 58 especially, hold their value exceptionally well for this market, often 80 to 90% of retail. You're getting Rolex-adjacent quality for somewhere around $3,500 to $5,000 instead of $8,000 or more. And then Rolex. A steel Submariner retails for around $10,400 and trades near $14,000 on the secondary market, a premium of roughly a third, while the brand as a whole holds close to 80% of its value. Rolex makes its own parachrome hairsprings and Cerachrome bezels, and between that vertical integration, tightly controlled supply, and timeless design, you get a watch that doesn't just hold its value, it builds it. If you made it all the way to the end, you've learned something most people never will. The watch brands spending the most on marketing are often the worst places to put your money, and the brands that let their movements and their finishing do the talking are quietly rewarding the people who actually pay attention. Smash that like button if this changed how you think about what's on your wrist. Drop a comment and tell me which one surprised you most. Team Hublot? Team Invicta? Team Fashion Watches? I read everyone. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Because sometimes the best watch isn't the one with the biggest ad budget or the flashiest storefront. Sometimes it's the one built by quiet hands in a workshop that never needed your attention, just waiting for you to finally find it.